Well, good morning, everybody. The warning sign stayed up a little bit longer, as it should, because as we know, this is one of the most triggering cases we've ever discussed on here. To this day, I have never read a probable cause as grotesque, eerie. Oh my gosh, I don't even know the words to say it. That probable cause was the thing of nightmares. And now, some appellate judge has decided to give that bitch, Letecia, a new trial because one of the jurors was biased because the juror's relative worked in the ADA's office. This was already known. This was not a big deal 2 years ago. Let me explain. I have a big family, okay? I don't know where their asses work, and I don't care where they work unless I need them to do some free shit for me. True story. Dainty Dane, how are you? Me love you, girlfriend. We have got to catch up soon, and thank you for telling me about this yesterday. Remember, the judge was fine. The jury selection was fine. Everything was fine 2 years ago. But now some appellate judge is saying, no, she's getting a new trial. My question to you all is, where are they going to find a jury that knows nothing about what happened to Ganon? The evidence is already out. We have heard her prison phone calls. I chose not to play them. Zav Girl put out his autopsy pictures on her Patreon. They weren't cheap to look at either. She said for educational purposes. As if any of the dumb fucks that subscribe to Zav Girl know what an autopsy photo looks like. One woman in her chat said that his pee-pee looked like a burnt marshmallow. So where are you going to find a jury now? It's a waste of resources. It's a waste of taxpayer money. It's a waste of everything. It's a waste of everyone's time. The exact same witnesses on the prosecution side, I don't know about the defense, all have to testify again. Al has to relive what happened to his son. Harley is going to have to testify again. And I mean, anybody that was on the witness list, they didn't use all of them. This time they might actually have Lena come up because she's older now. Let's take a second and tell everybody good morning, because I think on this one we're pretty safe. We're all in the same boat. We are pretty pissed that Letecia gets a second shot at justice. Okay, when I say she gets a second shot at justice, we know justice has been served. I mean, her own justice. So this clip will explain why she's getting a new trial. And also, happy Good Friday, everyone. I am trying not to cuss that much today because it is Good Friday. But as I reminded Susan this morning, because Susan had the nerve of accusing me of lying to her. And I said, it's Good Friday. I can lie to you, Susan, because today's the day that Jesus died for my sins. So I can look you straight in the face and lie to you. And she started dying laughing. But again, I'm trying to be a little nicer today, okay? I don't think it's going to last very long, though.
Today, Letecia Stauch was sentenced to 2 life sentences without parole for the premeditated murder of her stepson, Ganon.
She got life.
Okay, so obviously they're going back to her conviction. Here's my thing. Okay, this was a unanimous jury. Unanimous. They all agreed she is Satan's fucking sister. They all agreed. What she did to Ganon is absolutely disgusting. Okay? Horrific. Not even a word for it. There is no verb. There is no adjective. There is no metaphor. There is not a word for what she did. So one person has a relative that works at the courthouse. This person has been shuffled around that courthouse over and over and over. Court clerk's office, ADA's office, traffic office, all that stuff. Okay? What about the other 11? What about the other 11 people that said the exact same thing? I'm getting really tired of these freaking judges. I'm getting really tired of these judges around here. Carrie, going to the sidelines to listen. Woo! Woo! Girl, we need you. Don't do it. Stay here with us.
In prison with no possibility of parole. She got that charge twice.
Stand here today with some of the happiest news that we have waited 3 years for is that he has finally received justice.
For me, it only solidifies the loss. The loss that I'll never get to see my boy again.
Well, today, the stepmother, found guilty of killing 11-year-old Ganon Stauch in 2020, had her murder convictions overturned. The Colorado Court of Appeals found a member of the jury was biased in Letecia Stauch's 2023 trial, and as a result, a retrial has been ordered. The court's decision explains that a juror had a relative who worked in the district attorney's office that prosecuted this case. Now it's up to the DA to try and fight that decision or prepare for a new trial.
Denver 7's.
Considering it's a higher court that made this decision, I don't think the DA in El Paso County, Colorado, is going to be able to argue his way out of this, even though it was known 2 years ago. Put me on the jury. I'll tell them straight out. I am biased. Ganon is precious. Way to go. Way to go, appellate judges. Way to go.
Bordelon spoke with Ganon's father back when this appeals process all started.
On January 27th of this year,
opens up wounds.
6 years to the day, 11-year-old Ganon Stauch was reported missing by his stepmother, Letecia Stauch. The appeals process in her case began.
The initial hearing on the anniversary of his death, that was pretty difficult.
That's when I spoke with Al Stauch, the boy's father.
I hope they get it right.
In 2023, Ganon's stepmom, Letecia Stauch, was convicted of his murder by a jury. She's currently serving life in prison. But it's one of those jurors at the center of her appeal.
It shakes the framework and the foundation of fundamental fairness that's guaranteed by the Constitution in these cases, and that's why it's reversed, and that's why we'll likely have a new trial.
Attorney Stephen Longo, who's followed this case since the beginning, says he was not surprised by the Colorado Court of Appeals decision, which found one of the jurors who deliberated was biased. During the jury selection process, a prospective juror told the court that his son-in-law worked as a deputy district attorney in the same office as the lead prosecutor on the case. As a result, Letecia Stauch's convictions were reversed or overturned, and a new trial has been ordered.
Now, they have overturned her conviction, but that doesn't mean she's getting out. That's what I was scared about. Okay? The thing is, this was known during jury selection. This was known. But it gets to a higher court and they're like, they couldn't know. They're like, no. You had a juror say that she has a relative that works in the DA's office and you put her on the jury? How long did that damn jury selection go on? How long did that jury selection go on? Like 2 weeks? This is horrible. Let Ganon rest in peace.
Why would the DA fight leaving this juror on, knowing it could potentially create a basis for this type of reversal?
We reached out to Letecia Stauch's attorney for an interview, and he gave us a statement saying, in part, common sense tells us that a prospective juror whose son-in-law works for the prosecuting attorney should be disqualified.
So it's tough to blame the prosecution. They made, I think, the argument any of us would make is saying, hey, that person has a right to be on this jury. They don't have any inherent bias that's been exposed. There's just this relationship, and the judge allowed it.
We also asked the district attorney.
The judge did allow it on 2 points. One point is, if you are selected for jury duty, you are not allowed to talk about the case. Also, if you work in the DA's office, you're not allowed to talk about your case file. So by saying this person cannot serve on this jury, you are inherently telling everyone that the DA has been leaking information. This is a real idiot that made this decision. Well, I tell you what, the devil's happy. What does Nancy Grace say? The devil's dancing tonight. That was the judge's decision that oversaw the trial. Jurors aren't allowed to talk about the case. She doesn't seem to know anything that's going on. Kind of clueless, if you know what I mean. And yeah, she has a son-in-law in the DA's office. Personally, I wouldn't have rolled that dice. But that's just me. They had a very hard time finding a jury. Remember the lady that was just sitting there for jury selection and was hearing things and started violently throwing up because she couldn't take it? Yeah, we're going to go through that again, by the way.
Attorney's office about this decision, which they called disappointing. They'll be working with the Attorney General's office to secure a review of this case in the Colorado Supreme Court, but say they'll be prepared to present the case to a new jury if necessary.
Go get a new jury and try it again and secure another conviction.
A retrial. That's now a likely reality.
Obviously, I didn't want to go through the trial again.
6 years after Ganon Stauch first disappeared.
Even if we have to go do that all over again, I'm as close to 100% confident in the subsequent result as I can be.
With a father who wants to finish this case once and for all. Colette Bordelon, Denver 7.
In her original trial, Letecia Stauch pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. Her team claimed she suffered a psychotic break that led to the boy's death. We'll keep you posted on what happens next in this case on air and online at denver7.com.
And that is going to be her defense again. And you know what? Now they have even more evidence to support that theory. You know why? Because she has been moved from all of these different facilities for being crazy. Okay? For being crazy. Exactly. Instead of just letting sleeping dogs lie. Let's take a second and remember Ganon.
Don't you see him trying to climb a mountain here? Don't you see him trying to climb a mountain here? Don't you see him trying to climb a mountain here? Don't you see him trying to climb a mountain here? Don't you see him trying to climb a mountain here?
Poor guy, poor little guy, and what she put him through. All right, let's go back to her interview, which was absolutely disgusting. She basically gave herself away but wouldn't look at the camera.
I am Letecia Stauch, which is Ganon's stepmother.
You've been
a part of the investigation since the very first time. You were the last person to see him. Is that right?
Correct.
What did you see when you last saw him?
Well, I'm not allowed to talk about anything with the case. I would more so be willing to talk about how the community needs to have faith and continue to work together and not make these false accusations. Like,
they're not false, Home Skillet. They're not false. You can kiss everyone's ass on that. They're not false. Forget it. Forget it. And you can talk about the case. You know why? Because you're part of the case. You have every right to defend yourself and say what was going on that day. But you didn't.
the things that have been said, that I've disappeared from the community, I haven't been there to help, but there's lots of reasons behind that.
Reasons like death threats, right?
Right. Death threats are one of them. My family's getting lots of death threats. We counted over 20 some death threats already. Two, my husband's ex-wife is living in our home. And of course, I'm not coming home to do these things and to help with the family when I was kind of like told I couldn't. And then many other things that happened with the El Paso County Police Department, you know.
Because Al chucked you to the fucking curb and was planning on divorcing you because he knew you lied. He'd already seen the neighbor's camera. He already knew you lied.
And in doing the investigation, I was told I wasn't complying. And could I elaborate on that?
Please do.
Yes. So I asked for an attorney during the interview, and I was denied that by them. I was held because they were blocking the door, and I was told I couldn't leave, and that if I would have touched them, they would have probably, said I still wasn't complying, or said I was, trying to run away or something. But during the interview, I asked several times, could I stop the interview? Could I get an attorney? Could I stop the interview? Could I get an attorney? I was denied. I was told I couldn't get nothing to drink. I couldn't go to the bathroom. I mean, it was continuously that my constitutional rights were violated.
And that's why you say that they said then you weren't cooperating with the investigation.
That's why they said I wasn't cooperating at that time. Correct.
And why did you ask for an attorney at the time?
Well, I asked for an attorney at the time because there was one individual, there was two really good detectives. And so I'm not, going to talk bad about detectives, but the tactics they started to get when I would answer questions, they try to, they're detectives. They're supposed to twist. The one main goal is to find Ganon. But during that time, some of those things made me feel uncomfortable the way they were saying things. So I immediately stopped and felt like an attorney would help me with some of the vocabulary and things like that I needed help with and understanding some of the things that they were asking.
I'm going to shift gears to what has become a huge online presence of people obviously trying to do the right thing, help find Ganon. But at the same time, sometimes it just feels like rumor mongering. Have you seen any of those comments yourself?
We have. And see, that's one of the main things we haven't been around in the public eye because I didn't want to expose my family to it if all these things were going on. There was comments about Ganon getting pushed off the hike, and there was comments about this, and that's just not true. I took care of Ganon for the last 2 years in our home because his mother didn't want to do it. And I would never.
I took care of Ganon in our home because his mother didn't want to do it. My first theory was that he never made it home. That when they went on their hike, he never made it home. She did something to him out there. And the other kids weren't going to say anything because they're scared shitless of her too. But then the candle video came out where she said, now we have to sell all this furniture because you knocked the candle over. Well, we know more. We know more about what happened when they got back from Burger King and their hike. And it is horrible. Tina Kent, thank you so much. Thank you so much for growing the family. What am I going to do with you guys? And I agree with Becky. That trial was the worst thing I have ever seen. We have a whole playlist about Ganon. If anybody would like to put it in here, if you want to relive any of the coverage, you are more than welcome to. But you're going to hear me break down many times in it. I was not exactly a real Diane Sawyer during it, okay? Or as Benny Keys would say, I'm not qualified. Well, I'm not, because I was furious.
ever hurt this child. And I know there's some questions out there about, okay, so tell me what happens. That's up to the investigations when they end up letting you guys know, but I've cooperated with them, even to the point that we were held with a gun, and my daughter, a 17-year-old who serves our country in the United States Air Force, who has never committed a crime or done anything wrong in her life, was put in handcuffs over the keys that was in her purse so they could take her car.
And they weren't in there.
They weren't even in her car. I mean, in her purse.
And
they were in my pocket.
You originally didn't even know it was the law enforcement officers?
I didn't know it was a law enforcement officer because when he came out, I guess he was putting his jacket on, and it wasn't necessarily his fault. He was adjusting and happened to catch me. But I saw the gun and I panicked originally and kind of thought, oh gosh, I got who's this guy? And then once I realized it was the sheriff's office, I was totally okay, but they still had a gun and told me they were going to shoot me. But I was really concerned about my daughter, asking why she was being detained in handcuffs and things like that, when that shouldn't even happen for a child. That shouldn't happen for someone who was standing inside of a store shopping, because we couldn't have any clothes because all of our clothes were here. If we came here and got clothes, we would be harassed. So she went to purchase some underwear and things like that and was put in the handcuffs in the store, and then brought out with men with guns. And that's just not okay. They could have approached me and said, hi, I'm with El Paso County. Can I please get this? Instead of the way that it happened.
I'm just going to check your shot. Doing great. Still got a recording. Still can hear you okay. Okay, yeah, sounds like we're good. Every once in a while my mic will get out, and I want to make sure that's not going to happen here. Okay. I should try and clarify here. Not necessarily crime rates, but the way that people are reacting online to rumors about you with the search.
Oh yes. Wow. The rumors have gotten so bad. I pretty much have been told at least 10 different ways that these people have these conspiracy theories. I guess they watch a lot of law shows and maybe they have all these theories on how Ganon is dead.
Hey, greasy head, you're the true crime fanatic. And it seems to me that you took a page out of Kyron Horman's book. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You did everything Terry Horman did. Only you didn't have, well, that we know of, a lesbian affair. All these true crime people, you're the one that claimed yourself. Greasy head, you don't need conditioner. You need like Prel. What's that shampoo you get that basically strips your hair? That's the kind of stuff she needs. She is nasty.
And that's what they're saying. So I'm like, why are you saying Ganon is dead? He is not dead. We are going to find Ganon. And that's the main goal that we all have. My family has. Just because you haven't seen us, we have that same goal. We've been out searching. My aunt has been out searching. My family has been out searching. We all have been doing that together so that we can protect each other.
How does it feel when not only you have a lost child who you are in care of, but then people blaming you for that child not being there?
I'm just ready for Ganon to come home. Most importantly, for him to see his family. But second, I am going to be so ecstatic when I'm able to say to people that I hope they have a really sincere apology for all these theories that have came out online, for all the things they said that I have done or people have done. I just want everyone to know that we're going to find Ganon. And I love him so much. I've helped taking care of him for so long.
Can you talk to me a little bit about him? I don't know him.
Ganon is so kind, and he loves to play video games. That's one of his favorite things. He loves Sonic and Mario, and he's always helpful. And he was always so helpful with the dogs around the house, and we have 2 little cute dogs. And he was always like a person I could say, Ganon, can you go do this? And he would do it right away.
Okay. Remember, for those of you that have been around for a while, if you don't remember, it's not a big deal. Remember when I got my ass handed to me on YouTube when I was talking about Dawn and Candace Wells and how they kept using past tense, and people said, that's not a big deal, Brooks. That's not a big deal, Brooks. Well, I think I proved my case when we went through the Harvey Montgomery trial and the prosecutor brought up past tense. And this interview was brought up the gentleman that's doing the interview was on the stand, and they said, were you taken aback by her using him in past tense? And he said, yes. And you can actually see his face change a little bit when she suddenly goes from everyone needs to apologize to me, and everyone's going to apologize to me, especially my husband. And then she's talking about Ganon in past tense. By the way, did anyone ever put their apology note in the mail and send it to her in the prison? The only person I can think of that would do something like that would be Lisa K. Ruitz, because, well, according to her, it's the Christian thing to do.
Right away. You know, sometimes with kids, we have to remind them and things like that, and that's okay. But he was so sweet and able to help anyone. He could notice when you're sick and say, are you okay? And such a kind heart.
I know you just said that you can't say anything about the investigation, so you can just say so again if you can't answer this. But is there anything we can hear about the hike? Was there a hike? We don't. That just seems like rumors right now.
You know what? Could we bring my daughter up here, because she can go and say that, you know, she came home from work after the hike, and she can verify that Ganon was at our home.
Okay, yeah, that's fine with me. And if she doesn't want to, that's okay. But you're allowed.
That's
to
fine.
Sound okay so far?
Yes, I need Harley. Because they want you to verify was Ganon at home after the hike. Because you didn't go to the hike, but you came home from work.
Do you want me to just say yes?
No, just answer the question. Yes, you came home from work, and you can verify Ganon was at home. Yeah.
See, nobody believed this. The way that she was talking to her daughter and telling her, all you have to do is tell them just you got home from work, and yes, Ganon was at home. Just answer the question. That's all you have to do. She won't even let the girl put in a paragraph about, you know, I got home, I saw Ganon. Yeah, Ganon was home. She's telling her exactly what to say because she was really afraid that Harley might say something about the candle incident, the carpet, and how the shit hit the fan when she got home from work. Now, Harley, people get real mad when I bring her up. They get real, real mad. Obviously, she was hiding something because she received a proffer agreement to testify. But listen to her. You just have to answer the question. You just have to answer the question. You just tell them when you got home, Ganon was there. Like, don't say anything more. Don't tell them shit about the candle or me saying we have to move and we have to sell the couch. Don't tell them that part. Just say he was there.
I told her she didn't have to be too in-depth because she is still, you know, a child. But I want to make sure that someone knows that there's another person to verify that Ganon.
Sure.
Does she need to hold this?
No.
Yes, so I came home later that evening. I was at work, and I can verify that he was there that night.
So there was a hike that you guys went on, but then you guys came home.
Yes.
Where'd you guys go hiking?
Garden of the Gods.
Okay. I guess when.
And then we ate Burger King afterwards, so, you know.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then it just was, I'm gonna go to play at a friend's house. And then it was just, I'm off to go to play at a friend's house.
Unfortunately, I'm not able to like comment on that anymore, and for that reason is because some things have been turned and twisted, and you know, that was one of those stories you were talking about where people say things. We had to hear things like who would let their child go out at dark and things like that, and that's just why I don't want to answer that. If I had to give, I'm not gonna say that part.
That's okay.
Never mind.
Right.
I could take that out.
I understand that it gets tricky with
Yeah.
stuff. Do you feel like I asked you what I need to? Do you feel like this is going to help kind of turn the tide of what feels like a witch hunt, in my opinion?
I hope. Am I on camera now?
You are still.
Okay. I think that a lot of people can see that I'm not missing and see that I am being cooperative. But to me, it's okay that they think those things because the way someone thinks about me, I don't have a problem with that. My main thing is I would never want someone to think that I would hurt Ganon or any of the children in our home because that's just not the case. I've spent my whole entire life working so hard in education. There was even things online that was talking about my education license and I shouldn't even be a teacher. And they just didn't know that. Like we moved on a military move and I didn't finish out my contract. So I gave up my license in that state. It had nothing to do with any criminal activity, or any of those things. And it just got blown out of proportion on my professional status, and
Do you feel like these are just internet detectives who think they know what they're doing?
it definitely is. And here's the thing that kind of saddens me. It's like, if you're going to talk about someone like that and have a witch hunt out for them, why would you even care about doing those things? Because this is a child. You're telling me that you're just as mean, you're just as hateful to talk about someone else like that.
You're just as hateful? Have you read that probable cause affidavit, Tisha? Tisha, have you read that probable cause affidavit? They're just hateful. They're just hateful. She went to long lengths to kill him. Long lengths. Janaka, what's up, girlfriend? She said she told Harley what to say because she knew what had happened. Being scared of her mother, she lied for her, in my opinion. She damn sure did lie for her, and that's the reason she got the proffer agreement.
That's how I feel. We just should not. We should all come together and wait until the end and see what happens, because Ganon's going to come home.
Any message for Ganon?
The message for Ganon I have is, Ganon, when you get here, you'll be able to truly tell what happened. And then I really hope I get a sincere apology from everyone who has made all those things, especially from my husband.
We just wanted to add a message to Ganon from my family, is that we love you and miss you, and we hope that you come home soon. And Ganon, I can't wait till you can come home and let everyone know that you're okay.
What a bitch. What a bitch. We should all come together. Just wait till the end. Well, that didn't age well, did it? Then the fake crying, including my husband, all of these people that are accusing me. Well, when the police were telling him, this all lines right back up with her. And then the neighbor brought him over and showed him his security cameras. He knew he'd been lied to. Now, speaking of the lies, remember she talked about Eduardo that raped her and Ganon, and that's the reason there was blood everywhere that they found. She cleaned it up, okay? And that there was a break-in. Well, let's take a little peeky peek at the body cam.
Are you guys still here? So I was able to keep it off the carpet. You're just going to take like a wet rag to it, and it should come off.
Okay.
You said your garage door opener is missing?
Yeah, but I don't know if I might have ran in. I don't know. It could have been something I grabbed with my keys and not realize it.
So, well, where would it be right now?
That's what I'm saying. We looked through the house, but it's not in there. I don't want to put that as something that's missing when
You don't know for sure?
I don't know for sure. Right.
Okay.
I could have, I pulled it when I was pulling in the garage light. Nothing was working.
Mhm.
So I was in a hurry to get in the house.
Okay.
And I had the gun with me. So what I'm saying is I don't want to say that I didn't grab it. And
Okay.
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was your car in the garage
Mhm.
this morning? You pulled it out after he came and caught
Mhm.
you.
Mhm.
Okay. So I'm going to be completely honest with
Mhm.
you. None of this makes any sense to me.
Mhm.
It's weird.
Mhm.
Okay. This guy has investigated quite a few break-ins. Very rarely does someone see the intruder and have a conversation with them. Okay. But he's sitting there telling her, I'm just going to tell you right now, none of this is making any sense. But look at her. Like she's looking straight at him. Real sly, isn't she? real sly with that do-rag on, standing in her garage, saying that they were broken into. The story changed so many times.
So I'm going to tell you how exactly I'm looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
He texts you right before he's coming home,
Mm-hmm.
and then the garage door won't work.
Mhm.
You tell me you hear it. Well, the only way that can happen for it to go partially up, it has to have power.
Mm-hmm.
I even tested it, and I turned the breaker off, and the garage door wouldn't move
Mm-hmm.
because they don't. I've never seen one that has a battery backup. Maybe some industrial type thing, but none that moves. And then there's no mud
Mm-hmm.
or dirt coming in that window, and nothing around it is disturbed. Normally, when somebody comes to a window, they knock stuff over and they get dirt on it
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. So I'm going to give you one chance to be honest with me. I do believe that whatever happened the other night did happen.
Mm-hmm.
You guys both saw it happen. And I understand if you're scared, he's out working midnights, he's gone all night, and you want a reason to have him home.
Oh, no. Okay, no.
Do you see where I'm coming from, though?
No, sir. That is absolutely incorrect.
Okay. I just have to ask you because that's what everything is
Wow.
pointing to right now.
Wow. Okay.
I'm not calling you a liar or anything
wow,
like that.
Albert, really?
No, he is calling you a liar. You're just too fucking stupid to understand it. CZ 2055 said, yep, don't forget the whole Petco ordeal. She had a very unusually busy day, from making up the story about her stepdad being hit by a car, calling into a boss that she no longer works for, telling Al that Ganon had a tummy ache, and I don't know what the hell was going on with the Miralax, but she bought it by the gallon. She was always giving Ganon Miralax. All the time. All the time. All the time. And we have said it, if we've said it once on this channel, we have said it 1,000 times. When it's an unusually busy day and then suddenly a child goes missing. I don't mean like being on vacation or being at the fair, at a carnival where a kid wanders off. I'm not talking when you purposely plan your own busy day. Imagine Ganon's daddy's face when he's told Ganon's homesick, and then he sees from his neighbor Ganon limping to get into the truck to make all these stupid errands. I've always thought, and I've never talked to the bitch, don't want to, that she was really worried, that she was really talking to him about what we're going to do because she knew he needed medical help after what had happened the night before. She knew it. She was trying to work up the nerve to take him to the ER. That's what she was trying to do. And obviously, Al knew something happened the night before because when Ganon asked him if he could play Zelda, and he said, not today, buddy, because he was being punished for something that Letecia told Al had happened. And when she realized, look, I take him to the ER, they're probably going to arrest me right there. Well, you know what? He would still be alive.
Wow, Albert, really?
I don't know.
I mean, he wasn't here.
I'm not telling you. I think I'm not.
Oh my God, are y'all insane?
No, Tisha.
I'm telling you what. I'm telling you what I'm thinking right now.
Oh, you're absolutely wrong.
And I could be. I'm not a genius.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm going inside. I cannot believe that you would let someone say that to me.
I'm not letting you. He's a police officer trying to make sense of it. I'm trying to.
I can't believe you would let someone say that to me.
Well, it's not his fault. He doesn't control what I say.
I'm not very
Really?
He doesn't.
They have responsibility.
When I'm
And you're
can I get a
still,
CR
like,
for a
not even
second,
taking
bird?
my silence. I've been in the bedroom all night scared to death. We came home the other night terrified.
We did, yes, absolutely. We heard the noise, and somebody definitely left.
But because you were with
Did you say
us,
4476?
you did, right?
That's not what I'm not saying that.
I can't
Copy.
believe that.
All right.
This is not
So-
what this is about.
There's my card. All my information's on it. If you guys look and something ends up, you do find something that's missing or something that we missed this morning, my work number's on there. If I don't answer, just leave me a message with that case number and let me know. I couldn't get anything usable off of the window. Everything's all smudged.
Okay.
None that they'd be able to identify. What I'm gonna do now is just kind of look at cameras in the neighborhood and see if any of those possibly pick something up. Okay. All right. You got any questions for me?
No, I just want you to leave.
Okay.
Ooh, she's so feisty. Do you have any questions for me? No, I just want you to leave. Oh, I thought you wanted them there because of other pressing matters, wouldn't you? But when he flat out says, this makes no sense, and she's like, really, Albert? No, I just want you to leave. Yeah, listen to her.
Any questions for me?
No, I just want you to leave.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
All right. You guys try to have a better day, okay?
See, at this point, I believe Al was dancing with the devil because he had to, okay? He knew she was responsible for what happened to Ganon. But he had to play along with her, and he did it brilliantly, in my opinion. When I heard all those phone calls that the FBI wiretapped and recorded, he did a really good job. But now here we are again. He's going to have to go through it again because she is getting a new trial.
Against Letecia Stauch, the woman accused of murdering her stepson in 2020 and convicted, was thrown out. Today, the State Court of Appeals ruled the trial court made a critical error, allowing a biased juror on that panel. According to the ruling, one juror's son-in-law was a deputy district attorney in El Paso County, the same office that was prosecuting that case.
9 News legal expert Scott Robinson joins us again to talk about this. And I think right off the bat, I mean, Kim and I have been baffled by this, and we're not lawyers. We're not in the legal system. We cover these things. How did this get through?
Well, it is an enormous mistake by the judge, and it was compounded by the district attorney's office. They were taking an enormous risk to object to challenge for cause for this individual who didn't express bias, but because of the statute, he was impliedly biased, which means he should not be sitting as a juror. This is really a combination of bad decisions by the judge and the DA, and a risky gamble by the defense lawyer who didn't use all of her peremptory challenges. Those are challenges you can use without having to explain why, unless it's for a racial or ethnic.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and give him that. It is a ridiculous screw up. The judge made the decision. The DA made the decision. I guess in their heart of hearts, they never for once thought that it would get to a higher court and someone say, no, they made the wrong decision. Now, we have to have a whole new trial.
Reason. And each lawyer had, in this case, at least 12 peremptory challenges. But it's something that should never have happened in a case this serious.
Is it on them to use that challenge, or can they take a chance and say, hey, we may get an appeal on this?
Well, so far their gamble has paid off. It's important to note that this was a 2-1 decision, and ultimately the Colorado Supreme Court will have the final say as to whether this was grounds for an appeal. But the enormous amount of grief and suffering and expense for a retrial based on this ill-advised decision not to kick off a juror who was by statute not supposed to serve on the jury, that's just inexcusable.
Yeah, I mean, that's the part that I just can't forget. This is the sweet.
Again, it wasn't a secret. It wasn't a secret. I mean, hell, if I knew, they should have known. That's the reason when it was put in Discord yesterday, I said, lies, lies. She had effective counsel. That's usually what they go to appellate court for. They knew about the juror. So, I mean, he's right. By the Constitution, they made a really stupid mistake. But remember, What was I going to say? Hell, I lost my train of thought because Fundeski said prosecutor Attorney Allen won't be in court since he is looking at the Attorney General for the state of Colorado. Is he the Attorney General now? Oh, that's what I was going to say. Thanks, Joy. What I do worry about is in the next trial that Lena will testify. And it could be a rumor, it could be truth, but Lena knows why she was sent outside on that day. January 2020. Yeah, 2020, 6 years ago. She knows why she was sent on that bicycle. And she has had a lot of therapy to say, had she refused or came back in to go to the bathroom or get a snack, she could have saved her brother. That's a lot for that little girl to deal with.
Young boy that was murdered, and that testimony was brutal to listen to, and I think you'd have to do a trial again. So this will go to the state Supreme Court for sure?
Well, they'll ask for review. It's called certiorari. It's discretionary. Less than 5% of cases that are before the court are actually accepted. But because it's a dissenting opinion, and the judge who dissented was a longtime Adams County prosecutor and then a judge on the Court of Appeals and the chief judge, I suspect his dissent may be enough to tip the scales so that the Supreme Court decides once and for all if you have to exhaust your peremptory challenges to claim prejudice for a erroneous denial of a challenge for cause.
Do you think defense needs to be concerned in any way about the retrial? What happens in a retrial?
Well, on a retrial, actually nobody wins. It's an enormous expense. The defense will have already taken their best efforts at defending the defendant. The prosecution will already have done their best. They'll have literally thousands of pages of transcripts to work on. I mean, the amount of work that will be required on a retrial is massive. But we have a system where you're supposed to make sure that the jury is legal and unbiased, and that people who shouldn't be on the jury aren't on the jury. And this is unfortunately the price that may be paid in this particular case.
Yeah, I mean, both sides have seen what each other's got for a trial like this, but I look at this in a dumbed down version.
Okay, for those of you that live in Colorado, when the current DA, assistant DA, prosecuting attorney, however they line this up, goes to the state Supreme Court and asks them to uphold the first judge's decision by saying this one juror is fine, okay? This one juror is fine. What do you think the state Supreme Court will do? Because they will argue their point of view. They will say you're going to cost El Paso County $7 million at least to transport that bitch in here and hear the evidence all over again. They might even say, and by the way, we have more now. I don't know enough about the politics and how the government in Colorado works, so please fill me in. I need to know
this. I mean, everybody talks about serving on a jury and why, you have to tell everybody why you might be. But when you're telling somebody that, I mean, I'm not a rocket scientist, but if I'm either one, prosecutor or defense attorney, I'm like, you're out.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be a no-brainer to me.
It should have been.
The defense had no problem with this woman. The defense had no problem with this woman at all. Oh, Janaka, thank you so much for supporting the channel. And you know what? No, thank you for bringing attention to this. Ganon should not be forgotten. No.
An easy decision. The initial fault lies with the judge, who should have known better that this individual was statutorily prohibited from being on this jury. And then the DA, in insisting that the judge question the juror for bias, even though that's not what the law requires. Again, you can fault literally both the judge and the prosecutor. And depending on how the case comes out, might be in a position to default the defense attorney if it turns out the Supreme Court reverses and holds that that the peremptory challenges were not exhausted, and so you can't claim that you had an unfair trial.
That's the gamble you're talking about.
That's the gamble.
All right.
That's the gamble.
Thank you so much for breaking this down.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Scott.
Still waiting on my Colorado friends to answer my question, or someone to grab the link and come up and vent away. Vent away. This is just mind-blowing. Remember this when she was flipping off the jury in the last trial? Okay, there's no sound to it, but we clearly saw what she did.
Hi, so I'm just getting off of work and just had a lot of moments and things to happen today, and it just hasn't been coincident. And then I've had a heavy heart. And today it's just been the question, what if? And so I've been thinking about what if. What and if are two different words. They're not threatening when they're used alone. So, what's up? What are you doing today? If I go to the doctor, am I going to be okay? But when those two words appear together, what if? What if I never put my son on the airplane? It can be something that can haunt you for the rest of your life. So I'm sitting here trying to find a way to turn something positive. I've never, I'm an athlete. I've always been a positive person. So I've learned a lot from this. So what if is really left up in our hands? It can be non-threatening, or it can be something positive. What if us as humans could just change? What if us as humans can do something to just make us smile? So it doesn't really have to be haunting or life-threatening. What can I do today? What can I do in this lifetime to make a difference? And it may be something so silly. I don't know if you've ever got that thought or that feeling in your stomachs like, oh my gosh, I feel really good today. Something's great's going to happen and I can change something. And then something someone does or something someone says, it just really hurts you. So what if?
Well, hey, Fun to Ski. How are you, baby?
Getting better.
Good for you. Well, you look beautiful. My goodness.
Please.
Now, what do you think the Supreme Court, state Supreme Court, not the Supreme Court in Colorado, will do with the DA's argument?
I believe they will ignore it because both the defense and the prosecutors did bring up the juror whose son-in-law worked under DA Allen in the prosecuting office. And so they will go ahead and have another trial.
You know how much money that's going to cost your state, Fun to Ski?
I think they're estimating another $3 million on top of the $3 to $4 million that they already did the first trial back in 2023.
That's what I read. $7 million on that bitch.
Yes.
I know I'm cussing way too much for it to be Good Friday.
They went ahead and, she was such a pain in the ass at the women's prison in Denver that they had to move her to Kansas. And then she was a pain in the ass in Kansas and they moved her back to Denver. Now we know why.
Yeah. And I mean, as much as I can't stand her Aunt Brenda, if you guys don't know who Aunt Brenda is, count yourself lucky charms. Okay? Count your lucky charms.
Allegedly, Aunt Brenda hasn't been involved with the phone calls from Letecia for the last 18 months.
Interesting. Well, I can figure out why. Because, I mean, everyone knows who she is, where she lives. They have heard these things. They know who she's siding with. They know about the money she has spent on Harley and Letecia. And as I was telling Ange this morning, I was talking to Shannon. I think I talked to Susan. I said, this has changed everyone's lives. Everyone.
Oh, it has. It really has. And Landon and Al, you know, they have new lives. And they had new, you know, babies back at the first court trial. And, you know, they're going to have to stop their lives and spend another, I think the trial was 6 weeks long, 5 to 6 weeks long.
It was a long time. It wasn't, wasn't your regular trial.
No, and you know, the jury spent over 8 hours, 4 hours on the Friday, and then the 4 hours the following Monday to find her guilty. And now that's all washed under the bridge, so to speak. And so they have to start over again. And like I said, Prosecutor Allen is on the ballot for this November for Attorney General of the state of Colorado. So I don't think he's going to want to put time in and take away from his office, because I don't believe they'll have to get a whole new prosecuting and possibly defense team together. Besides the new judge, Judge Warner won't be the judge over this after that mistake.
Well, it wasn't a mistake. It was his decision. That they had a very hard time finding a jury, and they were both going to let it slide. That woman had a relative in the DA's office. Both of them.
Yeah, but you got to remember, Colorado Springs is a military town. So military is moving in and out all the time. So I don't think they'll have a problem seating a 12 or, 16 person jury. But Judge Warner made a terrible mistake when he allowed that juror to pass through voir dire.
They all three did. The defense, the prosecution, and the judge, because they knew they were getting behind budget because they couldn't pick a jury. And that jury selection went on for a very long time.
Yeah, I believe it was over 3 weeks.
It was a long time. I mean, there was people walking out of there with panic attacks, throwing up, one thing after another. And they were just like, okay, I mean, how are we going to find a jury? How are we going to do it? And they had to go back to the jury pool.
Yes. So it's going to be interesting. I'm just angry. Very angry over it.
Everybody is. Everybody is. I just cannot believe that appellate judge didn't agree with a lower court judge to just let this baby rest. The evidence is right there.
Oh, she's dead to rights. So we're going to take another 5 weeks for a trial, find, the jury, possibly sequester them. So there's definitely no talking of the case and everything else. So I think they're going to dot their I's and cross their T's on this.
I agree. Well, let's go through the timeline, because this is what the new jury is going to have to hear. I also want to know, in Colorado, when there's a retrial, are they allowed to introduce new testimony, new evidence, and new discovery? In Oklahoma, they can.
They can in Colorado.
Okay. They can't or can?
Can. C-A-N. But what will be interesting is, because Letecia went ahead and red-rummed Ganon in the February, Colorado didn't cancel out the DP until 2 months after. And so it'll be interesting if the state of Colorado decides to give her the death penalty or just go life LWOP, life without parole.
Read that this time she could be eligible for the death penalty. So let's all take a deep breath, okay? Not wishing death upon anybody except for Letecia today. And there could be a silver lining here. She did tell one truth, my friend. She told one truth, Fundeski, when she was doing her interview, and she said, Ganon will be found. You know how she talks.
Oh God, I hate that South Carolina Indian whatevers.
I'm just like, okay. Well, she was right. He was found in a suitcase under a bridge where she was hoping alligators were going to eat him.
Yeah, allegedly, Pace, Florida has put up a nice memorial for Ganon.
I saw a picture of that in one of the Ganon groups, and it was hard to look at. Those people were very, very touched.
Yeah, thanks for those bridge inspectors that were inspecting the bridge, that they found him.
Well, thank goodness, because you know how many times bridge inspectors, of course, they have their crews out there with them. They say, I don't care what it is, just get this stuff out of my way so I can inspect the bridge. They got to cut down the brush, get the litter out of there. I mean, they have to have pictures, for their department.
Actually, I do know.
Have you done it before?
Yes.
Girl, you go. But a lot of times, they only have so much time to do it. They could have honestly just thrown all that stuff into a truck and been like, no, all this stuff. But
Here in Colorado, you take your time. You have to inspect everything. There's so many facets to a bridge inspection, and you have to take photographs, east, west, north, south. You have to take GPS readings. There's a lot of things, and a bridge with that many spans could take you 2 to 3 days to inspect. It's up to the inspectors to inspect. You've got under the bridge, the piers, the girders, the caps, the railing, the roadway.
We have a lot of overpasses and bridges here, and sometimes it'll take them 2 to 3 weeks. But what I said was they're not in a hurry, like they have to be out of there in like 10 minutes to deliver a pizza. They want all that shit out of there. So that's what I mean by the hurry. So I mean, all this litter and everything, just throw it away. But God was working that day. He works every day, every minute, every second. And he put his intervention in, divine, I might say, and they actually opened the suitcase and stopped everything.
Yes. I mean, believe it or not, a lot of people discard carcasses and human remains near bridges and culverts to get rid of evidence. And you find, guns, knives, things that were used to commit crimes against others. But it depends upon the police or the sheriffs or state patrol for how long for them to come out and recollect and bring out who all they need. It's interesting, to say the least.
It's more than interesting the way that all of this came about. CZ, by the way, loving your comments today. Love them. She said, I hope the Ganon's Law petition has resurfaced. Maybe this time it will pass in Colorado and eventually become a federal law. Do you know where they're at in your state Senate with Ganon's Law?
I do not. But again, it depends upon, your state, your house, and if they come together, each one, it could be held up in the House. It could be held up on our Senate floor. Something might not be right. I don't know even who's presenting it, what lobbyist.
I don't either. I mean, the proposal seems very common sense to me. It's just saying, it's just to ensure that children under the age of 13 are automatically classified as endangered as opposed to a runaway. I think that is common sense legislation. I
You
mean,
think a lot of things would be common sense, but people aren't using common sense.
No.
It's out the window.
Oh, CZ, I get it, girl. I dig it. Well, hopefully you're subscribed. Well, obviously you are because you're commenting and you have your reminders on, because as painful as it is, we're going to be talking about Ganon a lot in the near future, because this is insane. This is something that only Letecia and her daddy, the devil, could do. But here we go. Here's CZ saying, Ganon looks exactly like my nephew. That's a reason it's a hard thing for me to cover the Corey Mikolo case, because he looks like my best friend Ange's grandson. It's really hard to look. And Ganon reminds me of my middle son.
It's 18 a.m. We were checking ditches under bridges.
A crime analyst takes the stand in the Letecia Stauch trial and breaks down the intricate timeline of events before and after the death of 11-year-old Ganon Stauch. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. The Letecia Stauch trial has been going on for about a month now out of Colorado, and there is still important evidence and testimony being presented in court. Now, remember, this is the 39-year-old mother who killed her 11-year-old stepson, Ganon Stauch, back in January of 2020. Now, you might notice I didn't say allegedly killed, because Letecia Stauch already admitted that she killed Ganon, stabbed him, shot him, but she is pleading not guilty by reason of insanity. Her defense highlighted that she has dissociative identity disorder. Basically, the defense is arguing,
I'll go ahead and I'll solve this for everybody. No need to pay me as an expert witness today. She is fucking insane. She is.
Don't bring Dorothy Lewis back at 88 years old to say she's got dissociative disorder.
For real. I couldn't.
Oh my God.
That was insane that she did that, and she volunteered. And the only person that believed in Letecia was Critical K. And I'm like, that figures. Anyhow, I'll go ahead and solve it. She is crazy. She is insane, but she knew what she was doing. Okay?
She knew right from wrong.
She knew exactly what she was doing. That's the reason she kept changing stories. Crazy people, like the guy that killed Cash Gurnan, they just sit there, I just saw this, I mean, they just blab away about it. They know they're dealing with real crazy. She planned this. She planned her lunacy. She is disgusting.
arguing that she wasn't aware of her actions at the time. She didn't appreciate or know what she did was wrong when she killed Ganon. It's a very high burden. But what we know is that prosecutors say Letecia Stauch attacked and killed Ganon in his bedroom on January 27th, 2020 in El Paso County, Colorado, where they resided. Investigators found Ganon's blood on his mattress and walls of his bedroom, as well as on Stauch's shoe and possibly in her car. They also say her DNA was on a gun connected to the crime, and they were able to track her car to the area where a plywood board was found with Ganon's blood on it. And then, of course, there is her behavior and statements. So Letecia Stauch was acting very suspicious when Ganon was first reported missing. She told several different stories about what happened to her stepson. She originally claimed that Ganon was at a friend's house and never returned home, even though she couldn't provide the name of that friend. Another story was that a man named Eduardo raped her and kidnapped Ganon. And she also claimed to Ganon's father that a man named Quincy Brown took Ganon. Well, what happens? The month...
Oh, goodness. I forgot about Quincy Brown. I forgot about Quincy Brown. Whoa. But the only thing that Dorothy Lewis had come up with is she's almost like a schizophrenic. Like she, she's like Sybil. She doesn't know like what personality is talking. And I'm like, what?
Oh yeah, she's gonna bring the pregnant woman with the money belt with money. Kidnapped him.
Oh yeah. She had one thing. She had more stories than Carter has liver pills.
I haven't heard that for ages.
My grandpa used to say it, and I don't know who Carter is or what a liver pill is, but anyway.
After Ganon disappears, Letecia Stauch rents a budget rental van and proceeds to drive her and her daughter all the way down to Florida. 6 weeks after that trip, Ganon Stauch's body is found in a suitcase underneath a bridge in northwestern Florida. So the allegation was that Ganon's remains were in that van. So that's what we know so far. But how does this all fit together? Well, earlier this week, former crime analyst Kevin Clark took the stand and went into extensive detail of the timeline of Letecia Stauch's activities or alleged activities. I'll give you an example. We're going to start with one time period in particular from 2:29 p.m. on January 27th. This is the day that prosecutors say she killed Ganon, to 6:19 a.m. on January 28th. Clark testified about how Letecia Stauch wasn't using her phone all that much, considering that she usually would frequently use her phone.
Before I get into a specific item,
Didn't she leave
was
it
the at defendant
Petco for the
fairly prolific
and then
user
went
of
back
her
and
cell phone?
retrieved it?
Yes, lots of activity.
All times of the day, essentially?
And sometimes at night, yes.
Was there a period of time when there was an abnormal lack of use of her cell phone?
There was.
What time and date was that?
This was Monday the 27th, late morning into early afternoon. It was about a 4-hour period of no activity.
Well, for one, she's a real Girl Scout, is she not? It's very rare that the police come to your house and you say someone broke in and raped me, and you actually have their name. Their name. And they knew from her social media history that she's always on that bitch. She's always on that phone. But they knew that the day Ganon went missing, she was busy.
Yeah, that's how they knew it was at Petco. I believe that's where they had tracked it, and that's where she had left it for the 4 hours when she went up to Palmer Lake to drop Ganon's body off at the first site.
There you go.
And then went back to pick it up.
Then she texted Harley when she was at the house, but they knew the phone was in the house. So obviously this was later, okay? So when she was in the house, the probable cause says that they know her phone, I believe, was in the kitchen. She had been walking around with it, but she wasn't using it. And they had many steps going straight to Ganon's room and back out. Straight and back. And then, of course, we know about the big green suitcase. Then
I can't believe Ganon's body was there in the suitcase when the sheriff's department came to try to locate Ganon.
It was in the car. Yeah.
It's just unbelievable.
I still think that she took it out of the suitcase and she threw it over on that highway and then came back. I don't think she was going to chance that. But I've been wrong before. It looks like she was that sly.
She's a nasty woman, very evil.
Oh, she is nasty. Oh, gosh.
So does that coincide with the time frame of when the defendant and Ganon left the residence roughly 10 in the morning to go to Petco and were gone, and then they returned at about 2:20?
That does encompass that time, yes.
is there a period of time when they're back at home after returning from Petco, that Petco run, where there's still a lack of cell phone activity on the defendant's phone?
There is.
Did that appear to be unusual based on her prior usage?
It did.
And then on the night of January 28th, just after 7 p.m., Stauch's phone was placed on airplane mode and remained off network at 9 p.m. when, as I mentioned, they're able to track her car to the area where they found that bloodied board. And speaking about tracking and movements, Clark testifies that surveillance video.
You know who else in Colorado is accused of murder that knows how to use the airplane mode? Barry Morphew.
Now that's another interesting case.
I'm telling you, these criminals take pages out of each other's books. They say there's no such thing as a perfect crime. Obviously there is, because we actually have a lot of unsolved crimes. But I'm telling you what, the parallels in the cases, I'm sure you know Fundesky. You've been around for forever and a day. The parallels are insane.
They are. They take each other's playbooks. They listen to Law and Order. They listen to podcasts and everything else. When they are desperate to get rid of a person, they're listening. They're listening 6 months, a year before they actually do away with the child or partner.
They do. They study up. They do. When I find the similarities, lose my mind.
From a neighbor shows Stauch and Ganon returning home at around 2 p.m. on January 27th, again, the day they believe that Letecia killed Ganon. And then fast forward to 6:30 a.m. the next morning, Stauch is leaving for about 10 minutes and then comes back. Now, we don't know exactly what she was doing. By the way, this is after Ganon was reported missing. It's also important to note that on the day Ganon vanished, Stauch is shown on tape backing cars into the driveway. Why is that important? Well, because Clark said after reviewing previous videos, that is not something Ms. Stauch typically does. Okay, and like many other murder investigations, there's the phone data, right? I talked about the inactivity, but there's so much more here. So Kevin Clark dives into what is found in Letecia Stauch's text messages. Clark starts with text messages between Letecia and Ganon's father, Al Stauch, on the day before Ganon's death. The night before Ganon went missing, Letecia texts Al that Ganon isn't feeling well.
The next entry, and it looks like the last entry that you have on the timeline for Sunday night or Sunday, January 26th, is at 11:30 p.m. What is that?
So it takes Harley approximately 20 minutes to get home. Harley's now home when this message from the defendant goes to Mr. Stauch. It's 11:30 p.m. Sunday night, and it reads, Ganon was on the toilet most of the night upstairs and downstairs. He had a candle on earlier tonight because he said he kept smelling poop from his accidents in his pants. That's what he told us afterwards. And he went for his headphones and dropped it, catching the covers and couch, small spot, on fire.
Okay, I get it now. At the time when the case was going on, I was really confused by the over-explaining, especially texting your daughter that Ganon keeps having accidents. We know why he kept pooping his pants. It's because she was constantly giving him Miralax. When he knocked that candle over with all the Miralax that she had been giving him and making him go on that hike and then giving him the Burger King and everything, he could have been damn dehydrated. And I'm not a nurse. She's diabolical, my friend.
I believe she wanted to push him over the edge on their hike, but there was too many people climbing the steps down in Colorado. I think it was Garden of the Gods that they were hiking.
I think that was the first thing, yeah.
I think that she wanted to get rid of him then, like push him over the edge. And it was, again, too many people. And she chickened out. But she got him good. I mean, that's abuse, giving the children that much Miralax and everything else. She's not feeding them well. Everything is fast food.
Fast food. Yeah, that sushi restaurant they went to all the time.
he was a preemie baby. Of course, his internal organs are going to be a little compromised. But I believe that she was, trying to have more pain, with now having to give him Miralax and everything else because his stomach was upset and sore and he was constipated. She's diabolical.
She is. I mean, she was huge on that Miralax. Huge. And then we have another case, again, another parallel. And that's the Lindsay Clancy case. She was big on giving her children freaking Miralax. She killed all 3 of them and then jumped out the window.
That's supposedly going to trial here, what, July?
July, yeah.
Yeah.
But she loved to yell at him. To be quite honest, he probably didn't even know what he was taking. Okay? He probably didn't. But she would humiliate him with, him losing his bowels. I would too. I would too if I was taking that much Miralax. I couldn't believe when they brought out the Miralax receipts. But then she's telling Harley about it. She has a way of manipulating. Like, I'm the cool mom, so I'm just going to tell you how bad I have it around here. Ganon, the whole house smells like shit because he keeps having accidents. And then he knocked over a candle. But he's in bed now with another one of his stomach aches because he can't stop pooping. You got to be kidding me.
So when do you think she used the gun? Was that the first thing?
No. I mean, I agree with the medical examiner. I think it started with a solid ass beating. And then I think it went to the knife, and then she could, because he fought back. I mean, he fought back. And
then the candle, and then she shot him?
The candle was the night before. I mean, the next day when she killed him.
Okay. On the Monday.
Yeah. When she said, her stepfather had been hit by a car. She can't go to work when the bitch didn't have a job. She told Al she's keeping Ganon home because, another one of his stomach problems. I don't think he knew about all the Miralax either. I really don't.
No, he was in the Army. He was trying to save his career because I believe Letecia, after being up in Alaska and what she did to him there, he was just trying to save his job.
Good point. I totally forgot about that. So I'm going to go ahead and say this for Al. You had a taste of her crazy before, but it doesn't mean that you knew that she was this crazy.
I got Lena and dogs outside when we heard fire alarm. But once I got down there to get him, I had to throw another cover on it. It was minimal. No need to call for help or anything because nothing too bad. He is upset and wrote on the notebook he was sorry. He didn't want me to tell you because he was scared and freaking out about getting in trouble and being grounded. It's stuff we can fix and everyone is okay. I burnt my arm a little, but it's all good. He was more scared and embarrassed.
So it appeared that Ganon wasn't feeling well and most likely wasn't going to go to school the next day. And according to what we just heard, apparently there was also an accident that night where Ganon dropped a candle in the house that caused him to burn himself. In fact, earlier on in the trial, we heard audio from a video from that night after.
Which is impossible. Okay? That is impossible. I have a candle burning right now. I could turn on my camera and show you. If you drop the candle, it is going to extinguish. You're going to have wax on your floor. I know this from experience because I have knocked off a few candles before when I was doing the naughty with Mr. CLL. Okay? They extinguish. She made that up.
You got to remember, a lot of the carpet had fire retardant made into it.
But she made it
wouldn't burn.
No, she just made it sound like there was this almost huge fire, and Mr. Bellyache did it again. No, she was pissed. I agree with you 100%. Because when she went to Garden of the Gods, she had every intention of being the hero and knocking him off that cliff. She knew that Al had a wandering eye. She knew he was never home. And this was her way of getting his attention because she knew he favored his son. She knew
He
it.
was a glorified babysitter is what she was.
She damn sure was. She damn sure was. And she's also an adult. So is Landon. And so is Al, to all do something about it. But I just don't think in anyone's mind they really think things are as bad as they are. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, yes.
And this Miralax thing to me is Munchausen's by proxy. She was
for sure.
This diarrhea and everything. Some people say it's a form of SA. I don't know what that's about. Because she would get attention when he would get sick.
Yeah, she'd bring Al back in, rein him back in, getting Ganon sick.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Ganon was the only boy, and he could have very well taken after, Al and Landon. And Letecia was pissed about that because allegedly, she had miscarriages and everything else. And I think she pretended to be pregnant to reel Al in when they met after playing baseball.
Yeah.
On the co-ed team. But who would think that, he's got a wandering eye. She knew he had a wandering eye to begin with.
She knew he was married to Landon when they were on the team together. She knew all that.
Well, they were all friends.
They were all friends. And they went, great guns after each other. You know what they always say? You leave them how you find them. This is the only case I can say you can't say that, because I don't think old Al, when he was playing softball with Letecia, thought she was going to kill Ganon.
No.
To this candle incident, and Kevin Clark testified to this.
Because we got to get it fixed, old lady. Don't be mad at us and kick us out of the house. Okay? You got it? You got it?
I'm just worried about my
Okay, shh. Listen.
The next entry is at 9:46 p.m. What is that entry?
This is the video taken from the defendant's phone, video number 6115, and it's the video of a candle had spilt, and the defendant is telling Ganon about how they're going to have to sell items to pay to fix it, and it ends with Ganon saying, "I'm just worried about my burns," and then the defendant saying, "So tomorrow," and then ending the movie.
It's interesting. It's interesting. But the question, of course, is she telling the truth about Ganon's health?
She's not telling the truth about Ganon's health. She had been making him sick for a long time to be Supermom. But when he said, "I'm worried about my burns," listen, if he had just knocked a candle off and got burnt from it, which, by the way, is impossible, then that wouldn't be such a big deal to her. But I think she burnt him.
She took a torch and, the kind that you use when you barbecue. I believe she burned him purposely.
Well, it would seem to be very handily available out there in the garage. And since she wasn't getting the attention from Al she wanted, she had to get Ganon sick again, and then she killed him.
Yeah.
Awfully curious that he's having these issues the day before she allegedly kills him. And by the way, on an earlier episode of Sidebar, we actually broke down a few of the many lies of Letecia Stauch that she told throughout the investigation. We heard earlier in the trial from Leslie Hicks, the assistant principal of Ganon's middle school, who testified about Letecia Stauch texting her in the early morning hours of January 27, 2020. Kevin Clark backed up Hicks' testimony with the data.
The next entry is at 4:36 a.m. What is that?
This is a message from the defendant to Ms. Hicks, the assistant principal. And the defendant sent a message saying, I'm sorry for the time of night message, but my stepfather passed away. Someone hit him with a car while he was walking. I can update you at a later time, and included the crying face emoji.
We had
The crying face emoji did it for me. Boy, that would really sink in. No, she had burnt him purposely, and she knew he was going to tell the truth if she took him to the hospital, because these texts came in several hours after the candle video was made.
testimony from Dakota Lowry, the defendant's brother. What did the defendant's stepfather pass away on this January 27th date?
No.
When did he actually pass away? Do you remember? Was it years before this?
It was September 21st of 2006, I believe.
Letecia Stauch lies to Leslie Hicks about her stepfather. Why is she lying about Ganon? That is the question. And also, Mr. Clark finds it odd that Letecia decides to leave her phone at home.
The next entry you have is at 9:54 a.m. to 9:59 a.m. What is that?
So this is getting ready to go on their outing Monday afternoon. So at 9:54 to 9:59 a.m., these messages were sent to Mr. Stauch from the defendant. Starts out with saying, left phone at home, call G's on my watch. It may stay connected and we will monitor it. And then at 9:59, Mr. Stauch replies with K. And then, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I think I was going to ask just what you were getting ready to jump into. So that text message about leaving home happens between 9:54 and 9:59. What time did they actually depart? And when I say they, tell us who the they is.
They, the defendant and Ganon, actually departed at 10:12.
And we see that on video that we've previously admitted, Exhibit 41, the surveillance video from 6643 Mandan Drive.
That's correct.
The next entry you have is at 10:39 a.m. to 2:45 p.m. What is that?
So after they leave, from 10:39 a.m. to 2:45 p.m., the defendant's phone had no outgoing activity. In fact, all of the incoming calls and text messages, the phone was in fact left at home, because here's the tower and sector that's servicing that activity. We know through financials and other investigative leads that the defendant drove the red Nissan truck up to the Petco on North Nevada. During this time, the phone was active at the house, but all incoming activity. There was no outgoing activity.
Based on looking at the download and other data points for the defendant's phone, was it unusual for her to leave her phone at home when she would go to trips to stores or what have you?
This is the only instance I know of that happening.
First, it seems Letecia Stauch is basically lying to Al, Ganon's father.
She was.
Do you think Letecia went ahead and red-rummed Haley's father?
That's always been a big speculation everyone's always had. I can be quite honest, I don't know what happened to Harley's father. I don't have very many details on that. Do you?
That it was a rug poisoning. That she gave him some rugs and he OD'd.
Well, isn't that convenient for Letecia? Isn't it? Didn't she also get a lot of money? And then Harley was getting a Social Security check every month, and she was always borrowing from Harley and then paid back when Al got his military salary. Oh, yeah. I'm telling you what, some people spend so much time trying not to work. They spend more time figuring out how not to work. And it's things like this. Trust me, she got a lot of screws loose, man.
They're saying that the phone was left at home, but they didn't leave the house yet. Then there's about a 4-hour period where there's no outgoing activity on Letecia's phone. She does respond to a text message from Al, and then there's no activity on her phone until 3:32 p.m. Letecia's daughter, Lena, gets home from school at 3:15 p.m. Letecia's other daughter, Harley, gets home from work at 4:37 p.m. And then Kevin Clark points out that Letecia Stauch then told her daughters to pick up cleaning supplies and what the significance of that may be.
The next entry is at 4:51 p.m. What is that entry?
Right about the time the FaceTime happens, both Harley and Lena leave the house together in the white Jetta.
The next entry is at 4:52 p.m. What is that?
The defendant sends a text message to Harley saying carpet powders, 2 things, baking soda, trash bags.
Why is that significant?
Cleaning products.
As it relates to cleaning products, what does the investigation show as to the likely time that Ganon was murdered?
Prior to Lena getting home from school.
On this January 27th?
That's correct.
Do you ever see, through any portion of the investigation from that point on, ever see Ganon alive on any videos, audio recordings, or anything like that?
You do not.
So you get the implication there about why she wanted these cleaning supplies and the time she wanted these cleaning supplies. Now, after Harley and Lena return home, Letecia claims to her family members that Ganon is at a friend's house and told them to be home by 6 p.m. She updates Ganon's father, Al, throughout with text messages. She tells Al that she's going to drive around, look for Ganon. But here's the thing. Other than that one drive that she ended up taking with her daughter, Stauch doesn't go out again. And what does Clark say that Letecia Stauch was doing instead? Well, data indicates she was on social media. And then between 6:54 and 6:58 p.m. on January 27th, Letecia repeatedly calls law enforcement to report Ganon missing. From there, Stauch is in the middle of text exchange and calls between her and Harley and Al. But here is something else that is very odd. Later on in the night, there is an outgoing call. But from who?
And then 10:03 p.m., what is that?
It's an outbound call from Ganon's phone to Landon that lasted 4 minutes and 28 seconds.
Based on the indications that you testified to earlier, is Ganon alive at 10:03 p.m. on January 27th?
No.
And yet a phone call.
So evil, so diabolical. 10:03 p.m. She uses Ganon's phone, which Ganon went everywhere with his phone. He's a kid, FFS. She uses Ganon's phone to call Ganon's mother in South Carolina.
Was originating from Ganon's phone to Landon's phone, which is Ganon's mother. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Do we know who was using Ganon's phone at that particular time?
It was the defendant.
Letecia Stauch using Ganon's phone to call his biological mother while he's missing? That's curious. Police eventually arrive at the home later on in the night. They stay for almost 2 hours. That's basically the end of the day of Ganon's disappearance. So as we know, Letecia Stauch was arrested on March 2nd, 2020, and Ganon's remains were found a couple weeks later on March 17th, 2020 in Pace, Florida. As I mentioned, the forensics and odd statements and actions of Letecia Stauch are being used by Colorado prosecutors to show that she murdered her stepson. But now, let's get into the internet searches, which, as we know, here on Sidebar and Law and Crime, those searches tell us so much in these kinds of criminal cases, and they really do here. The analysis of Letecia Stauch's phone gets very, very interesting when crime and intelligence analyst Kevin Clark testifies about what he found in Letecia Stauch's web search history. Here are her Google searches on February 20th, 2020, almost a month after Ganon's disappearance.
Her Google searches were priceless. They were right up there with Chris Watts's Google searches. I'm telling you. You could tell in some of them she was looking for a meme because she was always putting on Facebook about how worthless Landon was.
Letecia hated Landon. And, but in a lot of cases, just the last one, Corey Richens, her Google searches, her memes that she pulled up after poisoning her husband, Eric. You almost wonder, I can't remember if Letecia had or if Al had life insurance on Gannon and the children.
He would automatically get it through the military, the branch he's in, for sure.
Army. Yeah, he was Army.
As it relates now to the those wire collected phone calls and those specific calls about fakepolygraph.com, did you find anything in the defendant's cell phone download that coincided with attempts to get a fake polygraph report?
I did.
How did you find that information?
In the web search and web history portion of the cell phone download, I can see all the searches made and then the websites visited.
And so just for context purposes, when we were talking about the cell phone usage on the 27th and 28th, that particular phone, we heard testimony from Commander Mitch Mahalko that it was seized on January 29th. The testimony that you're talking about now, as far as it relates to the fake polygraph information, what phone is that specifically?
This is going to be the defendant's third phone, the one that we took in South Carolina.
She allegedly not only searches for fake polygraph tests, but also then ends up trying to pay for fake polygraph test results from a company. Now, again, remember, under Colorado law, insanity is about whether essentially the defendant knew right from wrong. And when you have someone who is seemingly figuring out ways to fake a polygraph test, that arguably shows she knows what she did will get her into trouble and she's trying to get out of it, right? Give you another idea of that. Listen to what Kevin Clark and investigators found in the Notes app of Letecia Stauch's phone.
So we've got the top half of the left side of that page on the screen right now. Tell the jury what we're looking at there.
So this is the notes section of the phone. Many of the phones come equipped with a place you can write down notes and thoughts as a standard part of the phone. And so in the notes section of the phone, on February 19th at 2020, at 11:53 a.m. local time to Colorado. So this was actually 1:53 p.m. when the defendant did this in her local time out in South Carolina.
1:53 p.m. you mean?
Yes, I say.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, at 1:53 p.m.
Okay.
So there's a 2-hour time difference between Mountain Time and East Coast time. And so the title of the note is, in the case involving missing child Ganon Stauch, do you intend on ...
Now we're going to go over to the right side of page 1, looking at the top quarter of that page. Tell the jury what we're looking at there.
Like I previously described, the title, if not manually entered, it's going to take the first part of the first paragraph. And this is what you see. So there's a question in the body of the note saying, in the case involving missing child Ganon Stauch, do you intend on telling the truth? ?
And the next line?
The next one is a second question saying, in the case involving your stepson, Ganon, did you inflict harm on him in any way? And then the third question is, did you accidentally hurt him in a physical way? Then the fourth question is, did you murder your stepson? And the fifth question is, do you know personally who is involved with your stepson's disappearance?
Okay, so that's the fake polygraph. I love how she threw in the, did you accidentally do something? She had been planning this for a very long time.
As I understand it, they didn't produce a polygraph result for her. They just took her money after they read her questions and everything.
They read her questions and then she called back to complain that she didn't get her money back. And they were like, yeah, no, we're not sending your money back.
Money? Yeah.
And they obviously cooperated with the police about it because they were just like, nah, you're not getting your money back. And El Paso County, with all the lies she had told, they already knew it would be stupid to give her a polygraph. We've heard that in other cases. We heard it in the Adam Montgomery case, Harmony Montgomery, when, the chief said, no, we're not giving him a polygraph. Why? I mean, he's already lied to us once. We're really going to hook him up to lie to us again?
Yeah, no, I believe Ellie has a gut feeling whether a person's telling them the truth or, they change it constantly. They're not going to waste their money on that. It's not admissible in a court of law anyway.
Exactly. That's the reason I tell people all the time, don't even worry about it. That's just, if they need to use the tool, they do. But there's always going to be those people that say, oh, they need to give him some truth serum, Brooks. Brooks, they just need to hook him up to a polygraph. And I'm like, yeah, all those things work out perfectly in a court of law. Thank you.
Yeah, give them sodium pentothal or waterboarder. That's going to probably give you more information than the others.
Good point. And I agree with Jananka 111. She said, imagine what she's been planning behind bars. If that isn't scary AF, I don't know what is. And here's the thing. I thought Letecia was going to get her ass handed to her when she got to prison. Oh, hell no. She's the Taylor business of
those two. Could you see those two in a cell together?
Good God. Everyone's scared of her. They don't mess with her. She's like the godfather of the prison. They're just like, oh, here she comes, here she comes, here she comes, here she comes. And they stay away from her. I mean, hell, they pay her to do her job in the damn laundromat.
25 cents an hour.
Oh, yeah. They're just like, oh, here you go. That one lady was buying her like 50 stamps a week. I'm like, shit, for what?
Protection.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the sum of the first page of People's Exhibit 692?
It is.
Wow. Now, again, we know that Letecia Stauch killed her stepson, Ganon. But all this activity that took place after his death, just on Letecia Stauch's phone alone, when we're asking, did she fully appreciate what she did? I don't know. Clark would go into more Google searches that were found on Letecia's phone, and it definitely gets more interesting.
What is the next search on February 21st, 2020?
7:23 p.m. Need a guy who wants me to move in.
The next search on February 21st, 2020?
7:24 p.m. Find a man with a place to let me move in.
And then do we have, let me see, 4 searches on February 22nd, 2020?
Yes.
What is the first one?
9:50 a.m. Change my facial appearance, but appearance is misspelled APPEARMCE.
And the next search on February 22nd, 2020?
Also at 9:50 a.m. Drastic ways to change your appearance.
The next search on February 22nd, 2020?
2 minutes later, see what my face will, but misspelled SILL, period, be with plastic surgery.
So she wanted to change her appearance. She wanted plastic surgery. She wanted a fake polygraph. OMG. Just me 68. What are you doing? She said, this witch is so evil. Chica said, I would be more scared of Shabusiness. More. I would love to see her and Shabusiness in a boxing ring. And I would be like, gloves off, you can use teeth and everything. Because they both are just, I've said the word over and over, diabolical.
They'll need a Supermax for women here shortly.
I'm telling you. Yeah.
They can put all the problem women in one spot and keep them locked up 23 hours a day.
Yeah, maybe we can figure out a way to do that. You know, they have those prison rodeos where everyone can let off some steam. Let Shabusiness and Letecia get in the ring together. I mean, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? Fun to
Gladiator.
There you go. Yeah.
Build a gladiator stadium and put these ones together. Let's see who wins.
That would pay for her trial.
Oh, yes.
And the next search on February 22nd, 2020?
Also at 9:52, plastic surgery, Myrtle Beach, SC.
Did this indicate to you that the defendant is still indicating a willingness or want to change her appearance to evade the investigation?
Yes,
And then do we have 4 searches on February 23rd, 2020?
we do.
What is the first one?
3:08 a.m., Ganon Stauch found.
Was he found on February 23rd?
No.
What's the next search on February 23rd, 2020?
8:24 a.m., replacement passport.
The next search on February 23rd, 2020?
3:15 p.m., shock from period, watching someone get shot.
Is someone misspelled?
Yes, it's spelled Someoke.
Is this the first indication that we have? Well, let me back up a little bit. Ganon's body still had not been found by this time, right?
Not yet.
Is this the first indication that we have of consciousness by the defendant of Ganon being shot?
Yes.
And then the final search on February 23rd, 2020.
5:13 p.m., face mask that looks real to disguise.
Change facial appearance? Drastic ways to change appearance? Clearly, this is someone trying to disappear and get away. No? Again, if she knew killing Ganon was a crime and the police would be after her, she can't really claim insanity. All right. Now let's get into some of the most disturbing Google searches that were found on Letecia Stauch's phone. And these regarded the state of her stepson Ganon's body.
The date ranges are February 27th through March 1st. And this is still off of phone number 3, the South Carolina phone.
Are there 7 searches that occurred on February 27th, 2020?
There are.
What is the first search?
7:03 a.m., how do police tell whose body has been found?
Considering the circumstances in this case where Ganon's body had not been found for
2 months,
a number of days, almost 2 full months, does that seem to indicate, from your perspective, some knowledge that it's going to be difficult to identify Ganon's remains?
It indicates to me that there's research being done to see how difficult it would be.
What is the next search on February 27th, 2020?
7:58 a.m., can God help me escape jail time? And escape is misspelled ESCAOE.
The next search on February 27th, 2020?
8:05 a.m., how do, period, they identify whose, misspelled WHOS, blood is at the scene?
The next search on February 27th, 2020?
8:35 a.m., find people who want to go to, period, jail.
The next search on February 27th, 2020?
8:58 a.m., Spanish girl names.
Is Maria Sanchez a Spanish girl name?
Very traditional, yes.
Is little Lucia potentially a Spanish girl name?
Lucia is, yes.
The next search on February 27th, 2020?
9:04 a.m., Petco, Nevada, Colorado Springs.
Was that a point of reference in this investigation?
3 times.
And then the final search on February 27th, 2020, what is it?
10 a.m., find an immigrant who will admit to a crime.
It is incredibly chilling to think that this woman was Googling what her stepson's.
Oh my gosh. So on top of everything else, Letecia's racist too. She already brought up a black guy. She already brought up Eduardo, who she claimed to be Latino. And now she's Googling how to find an immigrant. You've got to be kidding me. What depths will she not go to?
she's brought up black too. Quincy. I can't think of the last name she used.
The black guy Quincy, and they found a guy Brown with that name, and he was just like, "Hell no, I didn't touch that bitch." He's like, "I don't even know who she is." It didn't take him 2 seconds to figure out Quincy Brown had nothing to do with it.
Correct. Do you? I'm wondering though, when she was transported from North Carolina back to Colorado, and she assaulted the transport officer with the Red Bull or whatever drink she was drinking, if they're going to put charges on her for that.
I don't know if that statute has run out or not yet, so I couldn't tell you. I have no idea, especially when they said that they weren't going to press charges on her. There's enough evidence on her. They just have to get it right this time, because we don't want one fading lily in there. We don't want one, I just want to do something nice for someone today type of person. I want someone that's really looking at the evidence and remembering this boy. And it's going to be very hard in Colorado to find a jury. I'm telling you, it is this time around.
It's been 3 years. Her first trial was in 2023. This is 2026. The military, Colorado Springs is a strong military presence, and they move about every 3 years. They ship them to a new duty station. I don't think it's going to be as hard as what people's thinking.
It was hard the last time because you cannot take active duty military out to serve on a jury unless you're talking about their family members that go.
I'm talking about their family members.
Okay. And then a lot of times they're disqualified because, well, they've
heard about the case.
I don't think because they've heard about the case, but a lot of active duty military members, their wives and husbands are like instantly disqualified from jury duty. So I don't know, but I know it was hell on wheels to try to find the last jury, and now here we are.
2020?
9:04 a.m. Petco, Nevada, Colorado Springs.
Was that a point of reference in this investigation?
3 times.
And then the final search on February 27, 2020, what is it?
10 a.m. Find an immigrant who will admit to a crime.
It is incredibly chilling to think that this woman was Googling what her stepson's body will look like after decomposing, but it's also so problematic for her. Because like I said, it seems like she's trying to figure out how to get away with this. That's the allegation, at least. As I always say, it's not my decision. It's not what I believe. It's all up to the jury. It's all up to the jury to determine her guilt. But here's what we know. Kevin Clark was a huge, impactful witness for the prosecution. And he was able to tie this timeline all together and make sense of it. And with the trial winding down, Letecia Stauch's defense team will have some very heavy lifting to do to fight for their client. That's all we have for you here on Side.
You know, it was a 5-week trial. I wonder if it's going to be another 5-week trial for her this time around.
I don't know. I'm wondering myself.
And if they're going to give her the same defense team or if they've moved on.
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on what she gets out of the lottery bucket of attorneys. I mean, she'll be provided an attorney, obviously, so I don't know.
Attorneys. She'll at least get 2 of them.
Oh, I mean, there'll be a lot of people working on it. I mean, this is an appellate judge's decision, and it's a retrial. That's a lot of attorneys have never worked on something like that. And if they're defense attorneys, they want that big W for them. Not that they want the streets. They would. I mean, if they could overturn the last jury and say, no, she truly does have DID, and she needs to be in this place instead of jail. I mean, you never know. I mean, it's a roll of the dice anytime you get this going on.
Yeah, they'll put her in, the mental hospital in Pueblo.
Mm-hmm.
The state mental hospital. Yeah, right. No, I don't think so. She knew too much. She can't say. She can't say.
And she knew too much. And she knew too much.
She knows right from wrong.
I agree.
And she's not insane. She might want to be insane or play insane, but she's not insane. She knows right from wrong. Yeah. They could, like I said, I just hope. I know Colorado hasn't used the death penalty. Then they abolished the death penalty, but because Letecia went ahead and caused Ganon's death, she was in the 2 months after she had caused his death in January. is, I believe April is when they went ahead and did away with the death penalty, and it was life without parole. So they could come back and say, you get the death penalty because you were in the time limit.
I really hope so. And set a
But I
precedent
don't think so.
for Colorado that, look, we can use the death penalty, especially if someone's been tried twice. Okay?
And it's totally interesting. Hey, Brooks, I'm going to have to jump down. I've got to get going. But thank you very much for having me. I greatly appreciate it.
No problem, beautiful. You have a great rest of your day and happy Easter.
Happy Easter and happy Good Friday.
Happy Good Friday. That's right. All right. I will see
Bye,
you.
chat. Bye, mods.
Everyone say bye-bye. Say bye-bye to Fun to Ski. I just love her. She's been such a great friend for so many years. Keys Case said her Google searches shows cognition and the ability to hide her crimes. You're exactly right. All right, so one more time. Let's take a second to remember Ganon.
Don't you see I'm trying to climb a mountain here? Don't you see I'm trying to climb a mountain here? Don't you see I'm trying to climb a mountain here? Don't you see I'm trying to climb a mountain here? Don't you see I'm trying to climb a mountain here?
All right, I hope everyone has their bell on. They have liked the video. They're planning to use one of their hypes for me this week. It does help more than you think. And thank you so much to the Mod Squad, because I tell you what, you guys have been working double duty this week. And I hope you're ready, because we're going to be talking about Ganon a lot in the upcoming future. You enjoy your Easter weekend, okay? And we know the reason for the season, and it's not about chocolates and Easter bunnies, but that is fun too. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you back Monday, or maybe I'll peek in tomorrow. Love ya.